What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on into today's edition of Phillies Game Recap as we discuss some Friday night baseball as the Philadelphia Phillies in the start of a three-game set against the Washington Nationals were able to take care of business, getting a 5-3 victory on the night. And when I look at this one, I will say I don't like the fact that this team is allowing teams like the Nationals, teams like the Marlins to kind of hang around, but this is Major League Baseball, and we are in the home stretch of the baseball season. And being able to get these wins, no matter how you get it, is always big. But just don't like the fact that you're allowing these guys to feel like they do have a chance. But you get the win, and I think more importantly, you again had young role players stepping up in a big way. Obviously, Edmundo Sosa gets put back into the lineup, and he has a big game. Obviously, we'll talk about Dalton Guthrie. What a fantastic game he had as well. But also, in turn with that, while you do have some role players stepping up in a big way for you, you had a big night. You had a big night by your boy Rhys Hoskins here. We had a home run. JT Realmuto, another big day as well, as he was perfect from the plate. And so this is starting to feel like a balanced team. Obviously, no Bryce Harper, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, you get the win, you get the job done, and now the Philadelphia Phillies are 76-62. And barring any crazy collapse, any Boston Red Sox type collapse, the Phillies are in a safe spot and pretty much control their destiny to making the playoffs, especially when you consider how the Brewers have been looking as well. As I'm fixing this real quick. There we go. That's a little bit better. But welcome on in, everyone. It was a Phillies game recap. Of course, I'm your boy El Barcelo Philly, the uniter of all things sports and culture here in the beautiful city of Philadelphia. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys enjoy this content, please do me a favor, hit that like button, and of course, subscribe for more Philly sports. We talk Philly sports all the damn time. You can check out the content we have here on YouTube. Eagles, Union, Phillies, obviously in the season right now, and obviously we are just right around the corner from Sixers and Flyers, and of course we will keep you up to date with everything that has to do with our sports in this beautiful, beautiful city. It's Friday night. I was actually in the city, driving over on the Walt Whit, and I look over to the left-hand side, and I see Citizens Bank Park, and I see Matty V on the screen, on the Jumbotron, and it's just, thinking to myself, like, wow, I really wish I was at that ballpark. But no, it was good to see them get the win from afar. Obviously, it was also a big night. It was Kicking Out Childhood Cancer Night. You had the First Lady, Mrs. Dr. Jill Biden. Let's show respect to our doctors out here. Dr. Jill Biden was in attendance, and she was leading the way essentially for Kicking Out Childhood Cancer. I believe she is a native of Philadelphia. I will be honest, like you guys know me, I hate politics and I don't like discussing it, but I was curious to see what the reaction would be to Jill Biden, because I'm not dumb either. I do know that a good portion of our Phillies fans steer a certain direction when it comes to politics, and these days it feels like politics have turned into a sports entity, and I was expecting a lot of boos, but she got a good reception, which, cool enough, but it really wasn't about the politics. It was more about childhood cancer and what it means, and just the victims of it. And it just doesn't only affect the patient, it also affects the families of the patient. And I really commend the Phillies for highlighting it. Me personally, I haven't, knock on wood, haven't been affected directly by cancer, but of course I've had friends who have dealt with it, and it is not a fun process. So, obviously thoughts and prayers, and kudos to the Philadelphia Phillies for making it a special night, the start of the series here against the Washington Nationals. Now, obviously for a lot of us, we were looking for the Phillies to bounce back in this game, because obviously we're looking back to Thursday night. The Phillies lose a one-run game to the Marlins, and we all saw that ninth inning collapse thanks to just some bad defense by Rhys Hoskins and David Robertson kind of imploding just a little bit. But the Phillies did find a way to bounce back here, and that's really what you were looking for them to do in this one. You had Noah Syndergaard going up in the mound in this one, and for the Phillies looking to get back onto the winning ways. But the best part about it was you were going up against Patrick Corbin. And I don't know if you guys have been watching the Phillies and the Nationals this year. Patrick Corburn's kind of a friend of ours. He does us a lot of favors. I believe the last time we faced him, I don't even think he went 3 innings. So yeah, he's always fun to watch when he goes up against the Phillies. But the lineup got a little bit of a shift as well. The tough part right now for Rob Thompson is obviously, In the outfield, you're a little deficient, right? You don't have Bryce Harper out there. You don't have even Nick Castellanos at the moment, who's still nursing his injury. So you're very thin in the outfield. And obviously, Brandon Marsh has been batting terribly. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't remember the last time he even got a hit. I think he got a home run last week in Arizona. But that's about it. He's been really struggling. So you're really deficient in the outfield. But then now you look at the infield. You got Edmundo Sosa, who really come out of nowhere and looks like the reincarnation of Sammy Sosa. You have Bryson Stott, who has been pulling his own weight as well lately. Obviously, you got Alec Boehm still, Gene Segura, Nick Maton, which obviously you've seen him kind of move back out to the outfield a little bit just to spread out these bats that you kind of have. And so you kind of have a surplus of infielders, and you just don't have enough outfielders. So that's the struggle for Topper, right? What do you do with these good bats that are producing for you in the infield, but you need outfielders, and that's always the tough part. So he decided in this one to move Alec Boehm to the DH, give him a little break at third base on the night, move Edmundo Sosa to third base, keep Stott at shortstop. You had Dalton Guthrie making, I believe, his second major league start at right field with Matty V back at center field, and that was definitely interesting to see. We went the first 2 innings scoreless, and we're going to go to the bottom of the third inning because this is where the action would begin. Dalton Guthrie would make his presence felt early in this ball game. Edmundo Sosa, before him with 1 out, would hit a triple, and my oh my, the absolute wheels that this man has as he's flying through first, through second, sliding into third base, gets himself a triple on 1 out. Then Dalton Guthrie comes in, hits a perfect ball, a line drive to right field that would easily score Edmundo Sosa. And Dalton Guthrie making his presence felt, making a contribution early and bringing Edmundo Sosa for the early 1-0 lead for the Philadelphia Phillies. You move into the next inning, the bottom of the fourth, a 1-0 ball game still. Rhys Hoskins leading it off on the second pitch. Takes himself a 80 mile per hour slider, gives a little bit of a ride. This bad boy flies out to left center field. If I'm not mistaken, the person who caught the ball, was he or was he not wearing a Cliff Lee jersey? Did I see that, or was that someone around him? Regardless, Rhys Hoskins back on the home run stretch, and he gets the Phillies a 2-0 lead. But the Phillies were not done, because next up you had Sir Alec Boehm getting his 22nd double of the season. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I said 22nd. My man has been raking this year. He hits a double, and then that puts up JT Realmuto up with 1 out. I'm sorry, with no outs, and he hits a single to center field that would bring in Alec Boehm. Alec Boehm, he slid in, but it was a pretty easy slide in at that moment as the ball kind of got thrown way out of way out of the way here for the Nationals catcher here, Mr. Riley Adams, and that Alec Boehm was easily able to score. So the Phillies now up 3-0, and now it's all right. Let's play some defense. Let's get an extra insurance run. Let's close out this ball game. But this is where I'm telling you guys, this is why I just don't like them allowing teams to have a fighting chance. The Nationals woke up in the top of the 5th inning. It started off with a Riley Adams 1-out double. Then up next would be a Lane Thomas, who would hit a triple that would bring in Riley Adams. And then Luis Garcia would get on the board. He hit a line drive to center field that would bring in Lane Thomas. Luckily, we would get out of it with a ground double play. And so now it's a 3-2 ball game here for the Philadelphia Phillies. And now you got to get some more insurance runs. You were luckily you survived the top of the 5th inning, but now you got to get some more insurance runs, because you don't ever know what the Nationals are going to do next. Now, luckily, in the top of the 6th, the Nats did not score a run. It was a 1-2-3 inning here for Snow Syndergaard. In the bottom of the 6th inning, with 2 outs, JT Realmuto, again, adding, what a great performance he had in this game. He takes a 94 mile per hour sinker, gives it a little bit of a ride, hits a home run, making the score a 4-2 ball game. This one was close to the bullpen as well, but it was still in the stands. But just like that, it's now 4-2. The Nats were really trying. The real Nats were really trying to make their case, man. Alex Call leads off for the Nats at the top of the seventh. He hits a home run to left field, and it's a 3-4 ball game. And then the bottom of the seventh inning, you got Dalton Guthrie again making some magic as he would hit a single that would bring in Bryson Stott, and that would make the score 5-3. Dalton Guthrie. It was a soft ground, but this was so funny. It was a ball, and if you looked at it, like it looked like a bunt, but it was just a softly hit ground ball. He was able to get to first base, and then obviously Bryson Stott was able to easily run this into home. And Dalton Guthrie providing some serious offense here for the Phillies. And just like that, that would really do it. We had no runs in the 8th and 9th inning. You had Nick Nelson or Brad Hand coming into the 9th inning to kind of close it out. Unfortunately, Brad Hand would struggle. Hey, man, Brad, I told you guys. I mean, what did we talk about earlier in the year? I don't even know what to expect with Brad. He was going on that stretch where he was getting the job done, but Brad Hand's becoming Brad Hand at the moment now. But he really struggled. He allowed 2 runners on. And at that point, it was done for him. He had went through 4 batters at that moment. And it's funny because he started off the inning with 2 straight groundouts to Cesar Hernandez and C.J. Abrams, and then Call gets a single, Vargas gets a single, and it's a 2-run game, and Chopper's just not playing any games. Calls up Nick Nelson, and Nick Nelson easily able to get a force out as the ball gets grounded to Gene Segura to get the easy out. And just like that, the Phillies would survive, would get the dub, a 5-3 game. Obviously, like I mentioned, this was not as easy as we probably thought it was. And for the Phillies, who have really been able to take advantage of the Nationals this year, have really been, lack of better terms, have been daddy against the Washington Nationals. Look, this week it's been interesting because you've gotten 3 wins over 4 games, and that's great and all, but it's the Nationals and the Marlins. And if it was like 1-2 games that you're making it close and you're getting the wins and okay, but now this is 4 games where it's at least 2 runs or less that you're getting wins by against bottom half teams. I would like to see for the Phillies, especially this weekend, to kind of erupt a little bit. Now, you got some really good contributions today yet again. Obviously, Edmundo Sosa was 2 for 3 again. I mentioned the big bats again. JT Realmuto and Rhys Hoskins both with big at bats. Alec Boehm as well had a pretty solid game as well. He obviously had the double that would lead to a run later on. But Dalton Guthrie was really the story of this game. Now, he's a kid who was a 6th-round draft pick in 2016. I believe he was a 4th-round draft pick on the amateur draft for the Twins in 2014. Did the college thing at Florida, the University of Florida, and then comes to the Phillies. He's been a minor leaguer, and he's more of an infielder, but due to like I mentioned, being so thin in the outfield, they needed an extra outfielder, and he took the opportunity. He's like, I'll play outfield, and he came up, and his first start, really not much, but this one, he really stepped up. I mean, we talked about bringing in Edmundo Sosa in the bottom of the 3rd inning to make it a 1-run game, put the Phillies up 1-0. That was big, and obviously later on in the game, he gets that soft ground ball that was able to bring in Bryson Stott. Like we just said, not big plays in hindsight, but you bring in runs. He had 2 RBIs on the day. He made most of his opportunity, and of course after the game, seeing the interview with Franzi. Obviously, we have Franzi and John Kruk on the booth today. McCarthy is preparing. He's gearing up for another year of NFL broadcasting, so he might not do a lot of weekend games going forward. I think playoffs would be a different story, but kudos to Tom McCarthy. He does a really good job as well calling in the NFL. He's got that voice. He's got that voice for the NFL, so it is definitely really cool to see. But seeing everyone coming at, seeing all, I think they dumped every single cooler in that dugout on poor Dalton Guthrie. It is freezing cold, ice water. Franzi's trying to get this interview in, and then you got guys just continuing to dump water on him. The cameraman's got the second microphone ready for him, but it was a lot of fun, and like those moments are great, right? Because winning baseball teams, and we all remember the press conference last year of Bryce Harper at the end of the year, saying we need more young players, we need more dogs. That's how you win in this league. And the Phillies, I don't know if it's per se the Phillies went out and got those guys, but I think these guys are more getting an opportunity to show what they had. Joe Girardi, we all know his deficiencies, and we all know his love for veteran players, especially former Yankees. And so the guys like Bryson Stott, Matty V, Sosa, Guthrie, Bohm, list goes on, Nick Maton, like those type of dudes may have not had the opportunity to flourish because of Joe Girardi keeping them in a freaking baby pin, essentially. You got to let these guys fly. You got to let these guys make those mistakes. Guthrie looked like dog crap in his first start. In this one, he gives you 2 RBIs. I don't care how you get it done. He provided you some contribution, and that is a big part about it. And that, again, is another takeaway. This whole week, it's been, when you're going up against these type of teams, you're not always looking for the Schwarbs, the Hoskins, the Real Mutos to carry you. You know, you're looking for those young pups who are trying to make a name and make a place for themselves on this roster to make big plays. Now, with that being said, that is great. Now, we all know that Bryce Harper was out in this game. Now, I told you guys I did not feel as if Bryce Harper needed a day off. Topper obviously knows something different because he's in that dugout day in and day out, and he knows his players, and he probably should know his players better than anyone. Bryce took the day off. We'll see how that helps. Now, he's obviously mentioned himself that he's just doing a little bit too much. And, you know, we talked about it before. When you look at him at the plate, it looks like a guy who's just trying to catch up, who has been missing 2 months due to injury, is trying to make an imprint on his team, who's fighting for a playoff spot, and it was clear as day. He got the rest. Luckily, the Phillies picked it up for him and got the win. But we'll see how this helps Bryce Harper going forward. And listen, Bryce Harper has had slow moments. Like, this is baseball. It's the nature of the sport. But you got to find a way to just get yourself off that rocker, right? And all it takes is just a simple single, a big play like that, a big RBI, I should say. You're just finding a way to get on base. What do we always say? Stop hitting for the fences. Stop hitting for runs and start hitting for hits, right? So I think that's what Bryce Harper generally needs to work on. Now, as far as the pitching goes, you had Noah Syndergaard starting here today. He went 6 innings deep. He gave up 8 hits, 3 earned. He had only 2 strikeouts, and he allowed that call home run in that 6th inning. But he also did throw 86 pitches. So it looks like for Noah Syndergaard, they're trying to not allow him to throw more than 90 pitches, and that's what it's clear. And they allowed him to go 6. I think that if you get 6 innings out of Noah Syndergaard, I think that's a good start for him. Bilotti came in, he gave you an inning. Alvarado came in, gave you another inning. Solid innings by both those guys. And then, of course, the 9th inning, like we mentioned, Brad Hand struggling again, allowing the 2 hits, getting himself into some trouble. Nick Nelson had to bail him out. But I'm just curious to see what this rotation is going to look like going forward. Zach Wheeler is going to go through rehab. If I'm not mistaken, he's going to go through his rehab assignments. But good news is that Serenity Dominguez is going to be activated on Sunday, which is big. And also, who remembers Hans Kraus? Huh? Who remembers Hans Kraus? Well, one of the pieces from that Spencer Howard trade. Thank you to Spencer Howard. He's beginning a rehab assignment, and I'm sure there's going to be a tight leash on him. He's getting a little bit older, and at some point, it's not so much about you can't keep using the injury excuse anymore. Unfortunately, the best ability is reliability, and he has yet to be reliable. But looks like, actually, just looking at it right now, Wheeler should be hopefully the hope is next week he'll begin assignment. Last week he was a little bit behind, but we'll see what happens with Zach Wheeler. But I am curious to see what they decide to do, because if I'm being honest, like if we're all being honest with one another, and you can throw this in the comment section if you want, guys, but if you're comparing Noah Syndergaard to Bailey Falter, if you're deciding who to start on that 5th day right now, if you had to choose between those 2 guys, I mean, how can you not go with Bailey Falter, right? Like, I don't think I'm the only one that feels that way. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do with the starting rotation. But for Noah Syndergaard, he is what he is at this point. He's an all-speed guy. Obviously, he throws a lot of that soft stuff, and so it can be really tricky with some of those guys, especially when you go up against lineups who are able to hit against some of those type of players. But big win. We'll see what happens here today. The Phillies are back at it at a 6:05 first pitch. Eric Fetty going up against Ranger Suarez for this one. Should be a fun one. Ranger Suarez looking to bounce back, and I just need a complete performance from him. I need like a good solid 6 innings. I guess a run is fine, 2 runs. This is the Washington Nationals, but I need him to give us a complete performance, right? So we'll see what happens there. But the Phillies looking good so far. We're riding high, and get the job done this week. Obviously, the Brewers are doing you solid right now. They are 3 games back of the NL wild card, and they just look lost. I just don't see how they can catch up. The Padres are right there with you, even at 76 wins. So for the Phillies, I think the Braves have that clear. I mean, the Braves are fighting for the NL East at this point, so it's really about these final 2 wild card spots with the Padres and the Phillies battling it out. Who's better seeding, but the Phillies are in a good spot. Just got to keep winning. That's really it. It's just got to keep winning, get the job done, and just keep up with the Padres essentially. But that's going to do it for today's Phillies game recap. Thank you so much for hanging out, guys. It was a fun one. We'll be back probably Monday for Phillies. Tonight, obviously, we got the Union. 7:30 as they face off against Orlando. So we'll be doing that recap here tonight, and then of course tomorrow is the big one, right? It's Birds football season. We're back, baby. Birds versus Lions. I'm excited. We do have both previews out right now. We got the Phillies and the Union previews. Those are up on the YouTube channel right now. So get yourself prepared for tonight and tomorrow. With all that content we got for you guys. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, do me the solid, hit the like button, subscribe for more Philly sports. And of course, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I go by the name of El Parcero Philly, and I'm telling you guys, let's go Philly sports.